let's talk about Gen Z, the generation that's redefining engagement, particularly on platforms that many of us might not even know about. So this one is called Gen Z Engagement, Decoding the Dynamics of Under-the-Radar Platforms. Our next Fireside Chat will dive into the under-radar platforms where Gen Z is spending their time and how brands can connect authentically with this influential demographic. So expect insights into emerging trends, creative strategies, and the do's and don'ts of engaging with this dynamic audience. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Dr. Amar El Bagouri, Mansour Al Hassan, and Cesar Ponce de Leon. Please give them a round of applause.
1, 2, okay. All right, so today, as our MC, our beloved MC, mentioned, we're going to talk about social media and Gen Z. So I'm excited to hear about everything that's going on. And as you guys heard, a lot of Gen Zs, I mean, not that you've heard, but you also seen, right? That the Gen Zs are using social media like never before. I actually have a little sibling who teaches me how to use the native tools and things like that. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. But I'd like to start with a simple question. Please tell us a little bit about yourselves, your names, and how you help.
Thank you, Cesar, for the introduction. My name is Amar El Bagouri. I'm the co-founder and managing director for the Middle East for Muller's Communication Network. We are operating in 3 countries, UAE and Saudi Arabia and Cairo. Also, we are serving clients in almost 8 countries. We are specialized in digital creative. And most of our clients are located in the region, the Middle East, starting from Morocco till Oman. And we've been in the business since 2017, and I've been in the industry since 2004.
Great.
Hello, guys. My name is Mansour Al Hassan, and I am responsible for the regional marketing. I'm a regional marketing director for Huawei Petal Ads. I've already made a presentation with you guys, as a keynote speaker. So I think you guys know a little bit about Huawei ecosystem. So I don't want to repeat that now.
Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and just move on. Can you share a little bit about your approach through media and creative? So we'll start with media.
So basically, in order to reach out and address or engage Gen Z, it is very, very important to understand their attributes or their behavior. So being the Huawei ecosystem, what we have been doing that because Gen Z is the technology-driven generation because they are not experience the conventional the era. They have the Gen Z is when we talk about Gen Z, it is between 1997 to 2012. So it's a range of 15 years where Gen Z, this particular generation has developed, and they are very tech savvy, right? So they are always on their the mobile phones, their tablet. So they're always trying to explore, browse internet, right? And being a Huawei ecosystem, we have a complete ecosystem whereby we provide multiple services to them. And within the multiple services, we have our own app store that is called Huawei App Gallery. And we have a massive range of the gaming applications whereby we engage the Gen Z with our ecosystem. And we try and create a stickiness with our brand. So brands like PUBG, Yalla Ludo, Aswat, Legend, all these top brands are available on Huawei App Gallery. And that's how we mostly engage them. This is our basically engaging and communication channel with the Gen Z.
Okay, great. And how about you with creative?
Gen Z did not know the life before Uber. This is the challenge we are facing. They don't know how was it to take a taxi, a cab from a place to another. They didn't know how to know the service, if it's good or bad, by searching. They were born with a life with a rating inside it. So they can review everything in rating model. And they are evaluating themselves by rating also. They have an Instagram rating. So they have a totally different rating and social rating different from us. I'm not Gen Z, by the way. I look young, but I'm not Gen Z. I hope I'm Gen Z.
You look like one.
Yeah, I know. So they have a totally different language. They have a totally different way of living. And in order to solve a part of this problem in our agency, we hired almost 35 people from Gen Z. We hired Gen Z in order to target Gen Z. They were born as a content creators. They love to share their life moments. However, they have a very strict privacy tendency. They would like to share every day their life moments with a specific people, not everyone. So they hop between platforms in order to share a specific content for a specific platform on a specific time. For example, we have something called the streaks. It's been here a while, but most of our generation, millennials or Gen X, or baby boomer, they will never hear about something called the streaks. Streaks, it's a challenge for Gen Z. In my agency, we have one of the employees for almost consecutive 500 days. They have to post a story for a consecutive 500 days. And this is what we call it a streak. Most of our clients, they didn't know what a streak is. Most of our clients, they didn't know how to create content. But most of the Gen Zs, even if they are not working in those industries, they are a better content creator than most of the agents and the clients. And this is where their strength is. So for us, how to tackle Gen Z, it's a long story, and it's been in the learning phase since almost 3 years ago. It's a bullseye target for most of the companies. They are representing almost, if you are talking about US, almost 30 or 40% of the purchasing power of the total market. I'm sure, Caesar, you know this better than me. And in the Middle East, most of our countries in the Middle East are youth nations. In Saudi Arabia, 60% of the population are under the age of 30. Same in Egypt. And I believe in Dubai, most of them are under the age of 35. So it's becoming a bullseye target. They have the spending power. They are the trendsetters for Gen Alpha, which is the generation we will be talking about in the next couple of years. They are much more sophisticated than Gen Z, but they get inspired by Gen Z as well. This is for when it comes to engaging with Gen Z. But we have a lot of story to tell for the second question.
Great. So as everybody sees, social media platforms are evolving, right? And so you have to change the model that you post, right? And then also with advertising, right? Because it also changes as well. It impacts both. But can you guys tell a little bit about how is content evolving through both lenses, through the media lens and then through the creative lens?
Okay. So when it comes to the content, as we said, Gen Z, they prefer authenticity, as most of the gentlemen said before. They prefer authentic content. They preferred personalized content. And they prefer micro-influencers. And this is, for us, it's been a very good case studies in most of our clients. Most of the clients are coming and asking for a mega influencers in order to make sure that the message is delivered. However, based on the performance of the campaign, most of the mega influencers engagement are minimal in terms of reach, in terms of engagement, in terms of believability and relevancy. So we changed the direction to micro influencers, and we tested this almost 2 years ago. And it was a phenomenal success in most of the campaigns, specifically the campaigns targeting Gen Z. They believe more the micro-influencers because they believe in authenticity. They don't like pushed ads. They don't like a straightforward ads. They like to be in ads-free environment. That's why you will find a social media platform called Vero and Be Real with minimal ads on it. They are using those platforms in order to stay away from the ads, stay away from the artificial content, and be as authentic as possible. In 1990s and early 2000s, in the universities or in the business, there is no word called the global culture. It's forbidden word. There's nothing called a global culture. In Gen Z, there is a global culture. And now, finally, we can say there is a global culture for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. We are calling them a global citizen. They prefer local brands in US. They prefer local brands in Saudi Arabia. They are wearing the same hoodies in Europe, and they are wearing the same hoodies in Egypt. They are preferring the same content creators globally. So they are almost a global citizen with the same preferences and likes and dislikes. And this is making our job is much easier when it comes to targeting. However, it's making the client's job is much difficult because they have to differentiate themselves, although the likes and dislikes are almost the same. And this is a challenge for anyone who's offering services for Gen Z or Gen Alpha.
I agree with Amar basically. As we all know that the time span of the Gen Z is very minimal. They look for a content anywhere between 3 to 5 seconds, and they move on. So in order to engage them, in order to grab their attention, it is very imperative to understand their behavior. I mean, how they react towards the content. And that is why mostly what we are recommending, though we are media advertising platform, however, we always recommend our advertisers or our media company that involve the relevant KOLs, involve a relevant influencer which resonates with Gen Z. And they are very trend centric also, depending on the activities or seasonality as well. So if, let's say, the FIFA World Cup is going on, or maybe WWE activity is going on, so you need to pick and choose, what content, how you push that particular content with the relevant, the content, the KOL or influencer. That is, I believe, very important for any brand to engage them, especially for the Gen Z.
Great. Now that you're talking about content, right? Because you have to kind of examine, we have to test, measure, and iterate, right? What would you say that's working with regards to content pertaining to media forms?
So I believe, everybody, before our session, the e-commerce, the panel was talking about the data. So definitely, data is very key element whereby you can evaluate the data. Whatever the content you are, creating for Gen Z, you can evaluate, the data, that how they are consuming the, particular data, particular content. And from the Huawei ecosystem perspective, my colleague Sandesh has already established that we have our, the data management platform whereby we analyze, the consumer behavior, because we are the manufacturer, mobile manufacturer, and we have a first-party data. So we know that what kind of content, what kind of application the users are browsing, right? And based on that, we can identify that, what kind of relevant content we can push to them. So I believe data is also very important factor when you evaluate or gauge the content performance, that which content is working for Gen Z or which content is not working. So that is one of the critical part.
I love that. A lot of marketers in the room are talking about the importance of data and looking at the data and then adjusting through that data. Based on the data that you're evaluating, let's switch the coordinate a little bit. What behaviors are you noticing with regards to the Gen Z generation?
As Mansour said, data is very important when it comes to even content creators and digital creative agencies. In our day-to-day, we found out that Gen Z are no longer using Google as it should be. We are using Google on a daily basis. Our generation, they are used to find the best winning concept in, for example, restaurants or places, and search on Google Maps and find the place to have dinner and so on. In Gen Z, they are using Snapchats, They are finding the hot spots by evaluating the maps and find the hot spots and go to the red dots in the map. This is what the Gen Z is doing, most of them, and even Gen Alpha are more smarter than this. They are using, for example, Snapchat and TikTok in product search instead of Google search. For example, they've heard about a new product or a new gadget winning the internet. They will search on TikTok and they will find an authentic customer reviews on it instead of SEO or paid SEM, because they trust the authentic content creators more than a written description by the company. So this is a great challenge we are facing. However, we are using it as much as we can. That's why there is a lot of platforms of authentic content creators you can use, and you can do a product unboxing and you can send your products to them. And you leverage those authentic content creators in the media with the media companies like Patel Ads. And it can be a start of a new era for reaching Gen Z and Gen Alpha in a totally unconventional way than the ways that we've used in the last few years.
Yeah, the traditional ways, right? I love what you're saying because it kind of reminds me of going to your social media and then you look at your search. You do a search query on Instagram, for instance, and then you're looking at the pictures, right? And then all of a sudden you see an ad that pops up that looks like a picture. So you're like, and you click on and then it takes you to a converting site and what have you, right? What about you? What behaviors are you seeing with regards to media?
So basically, I mean, as I said earlier, that we have our own app store that is called App Gallery, and we have ample gaming applications available where we engage all the Gen Z with different the games. We have strategy game, we have casual games, we have the some other categories game which really resonate with the Gen Z, right? So this is one of the channel which is creating a stickiness with Gen Z. Other than that, what we have done lately, that we have developed our own intellectual property that is called Huawei App Gallery Gamers Cup. So because a lot of Gen Z are playing esports, the games. So what we felt that there is a great opportunity in that particular area, because in this part of the world, like as Amar mentioned, that in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, 35% or 40% of the population is under 25, right? So there is a great opportunity for the brands which are engaging Gen Z through esports marketing. And we have developed this intellectual property where we are creating a end-to-end solution for them, starting from online registration to initial qualifier round, and then league rounds, then semi-final, and then final we are conducting normally at the the ground level. So what we are trying to do out here, that we are utilizing the digital channels as much as we can, because they are almost most of the time available on social channels or digital channels. But at the same time, we would like them to connect socially also. So that is why we are creating this the on-ground activation where they mingle with the like-minded audience, like-minded people, like-minded gamers, and they exchange their thought process, they exchange their experiences, and that's how they build their network. Because in this in the current situation, especially post-pandemic, what I strongly believe that everything is all about networking. So irrespective whether you are from Gen Z or from your millennial, you have to have a great networking with you in order for you to get a success in your life. Whether it is you are a gamer or you are a musician or you are a corporate professional, wherever you go, you need to have a great networking with your like-minded people.
Wow, it looks like this model, it's opening doors, right? And
That's right.
who would have thought of that, right?
Correct.
That's a different approach to creating opportunities for yourself.
That's right. That's right. That's why we have developed this intellectual property, or not only in UAE, we are taking this activity across the region. So we have conducted activities, in countries like Iraq. We have events like in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan. So we are trying to capitalize and engage not only a specific developed country, but our approach is to engage across the board, across the region, all Gen Z who are willing to participate and create a difference within their community.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I think community is very essential, right? And it looks like this is like a community-based platform where,
Correct.
like you said, there's like-minded people that can share, their same experiences and network and find opportunities, right? Switching the gears a little bit. Can you share a little bit about how content is evolving to retain engagement with the Gen Z?
Since we are in the industry since almost 2017, myself is 20 years, I used to graduate from a school that premium content and very high production content will get you there somewhere. This methodology or this myth has been changing in the last few years. The more we spend on content, the less engagement we get. And this was very striking for most of our clients. For example, when we do TV ads in Egypt, we are one of the top 5 in Egypt. So when we produce a TV ad with a big production and post it online, we get a very low engagement compared to the spending. But when we post something, an authentic, genuine review from a micro-influencer done in a creative way, we get a massive engagement compared to the TV ad in terms of spending and cost per reach. So this for us, it's a striking truth, and it's a moment of truth. It's not like before, the more you spend on the content, the higher results you'll get. It's now, the more you think about the content before executing it, the higher engagement you'll get. It's not about a game for deep pocketers anymore. You can find content creators in Egypt with almost 2 million followers. They did not spend a single Egyptian pound or a dollar on the media. And they are getting a lot of engagement, a lot of reach for their brands, local brands, by authentic content. Imagine when they spend, they will fly. So this is for us a new reality. It's not about spending more on the content, spend less, but be authentic, be genuine, and you can fly it with the media afterwards.
I think I agree with Amar, because there are 2 elements. I mean, how you can increase the retention with the Gen Z especially. So point number 1 is always you have to pick up, as a brand, you have to pick up a relevant topic, because there are certain areas, Gen Zs are very outspoken, right? They don't care about they don't feel that somebody will listen them and they would be judgmental about them. So they're very outspoken, right? So you have to pick up a topic which resonates with Gen Z, number 1. And number 2 is you have to pick up a KOL or influencer or whoever within that particular topic, the known personality or known influencer or relevant influencer. I think that will engage them more and more, and the probability of retention will increase from compared to the standard retention the period.
I love this, and I think you are sharing such a valuable information to the audience, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not making a dent with regards to my promotion, right? And to those who feel like you have to spend thousands, whatever currency you use, right? It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars or euros or whatever it is to promote your business. Right now, we're getting such a great knowledge from our colleagues who are saying, hey, an alternative here, a different strategy can be using micro-influencers who you can have a good relationship with, and they can help you promote your business at almost or not cost at all. Does that make sense?
100%. And it's more cost efficient and more credible.
Exactly. It is authentic, you know?
Yeah.
And talking about authenticity,
100%.
what would you say are some of the ways? Because I know that Gen Zs also suffer. You know how we hear about the term that, hey, you know, social media life is fake, right? What you see on social media is not real, right? So how can the Gen Z stay authentic on social media platforms?
This is a very difficult question because I'm not Gen Z. We are trying to study them as much as we can. And they prefer to stay authentic as much as they can. And they prefer to have their own language when they talk to each other. And they have their own rules when it comes to followers rules. You have to have the number of followers equivalent to the number of follows in order to be authentic and relevant. They have a different space to talk on Twitch, on Discord, totally different than Instagram and Snapchat. So they are using different occasions and different platforms in order to communicate to each other. But staying relevant to them, you have to bring one of your team to talk to them, and he should be Gen Z as well, because they have a totally different language. I tried a lot to understand it. They have a totally different terminologies, and they prefer the brands that connect with them in a very authentic way, not the brands that communicate to them with a paid ads, with a static content, without referring to their day-to-day life. And they are against brands that are faking that they know Gen Z. For example, for Jaguar ad, they retargeting them, they targeted the brand to target Gen Z. And we did a small test in our company. We asked Gen Z about the ad, and they told us, this is so fake. This is not Gen Z. This is claiming to be Gen Z, but this is not us. And apparently Jaguar, if they are doing the ad in Egypt, they might fail to target Gen Z, although this was the main objective, to target Gen Z. So you have to be very careful. Don't try to target them without understanding them fully. Otherwise, don't target them till you understand the target fully. Or you will get them against your brand, and they will be talking negative about your brand, and they will talking in their language, they will call your brand a cringe brand. So, and this is what happened in most of the brands that we've seen in Egypt, targeting Gen Z in a very old and weird fashion way.
I agree with Amar. So first of all, social media is very dangerous, I would say. Because as you rightly mentioned, there is a real life and there is a real life, right? So you need to understand these two, real life and real life, because whatever you see on social media, it's not real, right? Most of the people are fascinated with that. And that's how because Gen Z is spending most of the time on the social media. So that's why anxiety, depression is quite, normal. It's a very normal, what do you call, the feelings, to the Gen Z audience. So I would also recommend, other than social media, I would also recommend that be it you are a parent, or you are the CEO of the company, or you are a teacher, or you are a colleague, you need to handle them in a very different manner, right? You need to understand their the challenges. I mean, you need to understand their behavior, and then based on that, you have to handle them. Whether you are handling them as a colleague, or as a subordinate of yours, or you are handling them as a parent. Because when they are see real life and real life, sometimes they get very depressed and they get into depression, right? So in order to engage them, in order to maintain their sanity, what you need to do, you need to communicate on a regular basis with them. You have to be very open with them, right? I'm not saying that you have to be disrespect, or you have to lose your position as a parent, but you have to be treat them as a friend, right? So they can open up their challenges, their depression, their anxiety with you, and spend time. Sometimes you have to get into the online with them as well and, play games along with them. So you would understand that, how they are like, behaving towards the, the digital world as well as the real world. So that is what I feel that, we all need to do as a parent, as a, like, the colleague, as a, the senior, like, either CEO or managing director or whatever it is. So we need to do that. Yeah.
And you can see easily a very popular Gen Zs on Twitch or Fortnite, and they are not very popular in reality. So this example, we've seen it a lot. So having a Gen Z in your company will give you a great insights. So hire Gen Zs, although they are very difficult to deal with in terms of management, give them beanbags, free food, and give them flexible hours. They will give you creativity.
It reminds me, of Shakira. She had a recent, I would probably say 2 years ago or something like that, she had a hit of a video, and she was dancing with the robot, and the robot is very stylish. And then they asked her, who was the creative behind all this? Because that video went viral, and it was one of the best rated music videos. And it was her son.
Yeah.
And he was a little, he was a youngster.
Gen Alpha, I think, is on.
Yeah.
Yeah, even.
And it's like, wow, it's who would have thought, right, that Shakira's son would come up with such a great video, and that's amazing. But we're gonna go ahead and ask.
I think you're from North America, and I heard, I'm not sure whether it is correct or not, the narrative of the, the political, the campaign for Donald Trump has been created by his son, younger son. So I'm not sure how far this is correct.
By Baron Trump.
Yeah, that's right. So you can imagine the, the kind of narrative he has established and created. It's really connect, his, like, the political narrative with the masses.
Yeah, I mean, that's a large subject, and we can go for hours, but one thing that we can learn about that campaign is that they had a low cost, and you can make extraordinary things happen with low cost. And I'm gonna go ahead and just ask you one more question, and then we're gonna go ahead and open it to everybody else to ask any questions that you may have. And my question is about the future. Where do you see this going with regards to social media and the Gen Z?
Regarding the social media, I see, we believe the future will not be dominated by Meta and big players. There will be a lot of small social media platforms, and can be country or community even based. We are finding Vero, we are finding BeReal, we are finding now Threads. Thread is one of the fastest growing. Again, it was a bad launch, and it's picking up again. And you'll find Discord, you'll find a lot of small players. Thread is owned by Instagram, but it's a small player growing. However, you will find that social media is broken down into a small communities, because Gen Alpha, it's a carbon copy of Gen Z with a modified behavior. They prefer to be an exclusive packs. So they prefer to be a closed community instead of an open community like us before. So they prefer to isolate themselves in the group, and they prefer to have a similar community in terms of behavior and patterns and likes and dislikes on the same platform. So this is my expectations. You will find a lot of social media platforms in the future launched, and you will find the positioning of the word ad-free platforms, and they will find another revenue streams, even by subscription, maybe. And when it comes to the media, Mr. Mansour can tell us.
What about the media?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you must have noticed that, in my keynote speech, I was referring that why there is a need we have developed this, the Huawei ecosystem. So the only, the reason what we have, thought of that, how the digital transformation is happening and how the Gen Z is reacting, right? So in order to retain, in order to maintain that particular diaspora of the consumer, you need to have a operating system which is interconnected operating system, right? So which connects not only mobile phone, not only tablet, but across the board all connected devices. And that is why we are in a phase to launch our Harmony Next, which has been launched in China. And it, every device can speak with each other. So your mobile phone would be your remote control moving forward. And probably, your mobile phone can speak with your television, your mobile phone can speak with your telematics, electric vehicle, your office automation, your home automation. So everything is connected out there. And why we have done that? Because we are clearly seeing that, the trend is going towards the digital transformation. And by, as I said earlier, by 2027, 2028, there will be a 37 billion connected IoT devices in the market. So how would the brand connects all those devices with one operating system? Because we only have mobile operating system, right? So competitor is also working towards it to develop the interconnected operating system. But since 90% of the IoT products have been produced in China, so we are quite bullish about it that we will, for sure we will get success and we will win the game, and we will turn around the equation between, the Huawei ecosystem or Huawei, users of Huawei operating system than the competitor. Because right now, by far, global market, Android is predominantly, leading the market. However, we strongly feel that when connected devices would be in the picture and 37 billion connected devices would be available, then this equation will definitely, change, and you will see the different world all put together.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the insight. That was lit, like they say, Lit, it's a term that the Gen Z use. So I'm trying to be one. Yeah. No, and we're gonna go ahead and open it to the audience for any questions. Great insight from our panelists, and go ahead, take it on. Questions?
It's very good, no question.
Answer. She says answer.
I think we have quite effectively, we have covered all the points, so they don't have any questions.
I think either we did great or we did really bad.
Come on, you got a question. Give us a question. It's okay. I mean, I understand. People are.
Yeah, okay, good.
Oh, there we go. I see one hand. The light is a little bit bright. That's why I don't see hands up.
I think it is planted question, I believe.
It's a political one.
So my question is, what parenting advice you will give to us from this topic? Like, what is your experience and your thoughts for parents? I know it's not very relevant, but I just want to understand, as an expert, what is your advice to all the parents for Gen Z, how to handle them on those dynamic platforms, social media platform?
That's a great question. So the first thing that I can say is that a lot of these tools, they have I don't have kids, so let me start with that, right? But what I can tell you is that I've seen some of these social media tools that they actually have a way to link, or if not, oversee your kids' accounts. And if you actually monitor your kids' accounts through those native tools, then I think you're going to be able to control a little bit about what they see and what they do.
I mean, I believe if you do the policing, it's not going to be the right approach to tackle, Gen Z. So from my perspective as a parent, what you'll have to do, you have to, communicate on a regular basis with them. Try and adapt their language. Try and understand their jargons, right? And understand what normally they look for, right? And sometimes you engage with them online as well. So supposedly, as I just mentioned, that esports is one of the amazing intellectual, the platform where you can engage with them and you can play with them, right? So once you are acting as their friend, they'll be more open and more casual with you. So that is one of the best, the suggestion, not advice. I can give it to you that, how you have to handle your Gen Z, the kids. And that is very, very important that, you need to be regular communication and pass on the knowledge, education. I wouldn't say education, but definitely communication and knowledge sharing. It's very, very important. You have to tell them what is right, what is wrong, right? And you have to always teach them that, speak for the right? Don't follow the wrong practices. Those areas, you need to educate them or communicate with them. But consistency is very, very important because a lot of parents, including myself, sometimes we are getting involved so much in our business that we don't have time for our kids, right? So we are sometimes in traveling a lot, right? So we don't have time to interact with them. So make sure that, you do the Google Meet or the team meeting, engage with them. So that, you will develop the relationship and trust. And then they will be like your friend.
You're too young to have a Gen Z kids. Too young for that. Your kids are Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha is before 2012. After 2012.
He's 8 years, so I don't know about...
8 years? Gen Alpha is much more difficult than Gen Z.
Correct.
You're not helping me.
My daughter is Gen Alpha.
I probably give you the answer for that one.
They are much more difficult, they are much more dominating, and they are much smarter than us. To be honest, if you will be the helicopter parent that observing everything, they will find a way to hide everything. So you have to build the trust, and trust me, they are smarter than you.
To your point, this was, when AI was just, becoming a thing, and everybody, like, all of the colleagues were using AI hidden, right? Like, I'm just going to use AI, and I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm using AI, right? And it was funny because a lot of them will like, we will talk amongst professionals, right? And they were parents, and they're like, I will never give this to my kid. I will never give this to my kid, because I know my kid will take advantage of this, right? And then all of a sudden, the kid's like 10 steps ahead. They're like much more professionals in AI. And the parent thinks like he's the only one that's using AI, right? In his little bubble, right?
Everyone is using AI now.
Right, yeah. That was great. Any other questions that the audience might have? He has a mic, right? There we go.
Quick question about the Gen Z. I'm Gen X. So growing up, there were specific products in the market that we were used to. Commodore 64, Atari, we had, video games and stuff like that, Galaxian and everything. Okay. It was expected of us that we would be video gamers, right? So like, for example, it was pretty common for us to know Pascal, Fortran, C#, C languages, things like that. When we talk about Gen Z, why is it surprising for anyone to think that they're in an environment that is completely technology-driven? We created the environment for them. They came in a world where their devices, handheld devices. So why are we shocked as marketeers that these kids are using technology on a day-to-day basis? At the same time, they're very prone to learning and finding influencers. You talked about folks are not using Google anymore to search. Instead, they're looking for influencers and so on and so forth. So again, my only question is, are we really surprised by the fact that these are technology-driven? Because that's the environment we gave them. They're just a product of the society we created.
This is a very good question. We are not surprised, we are expecting. And your question is valid. But the surprise is the average spend time on the mobile device is now almost 7 to 9 hours in some of the generations in some of the countries. In Atari, I used to play Atari back in the 90s and late 80s. The maximum hour that we will be playing, it will be 2 hours, 3 hours, because there is no material. There is nothing to be done further after this game is finished. But when it comes to the Gen Z, they can stay on their mobile and find something interesting to be done for 24 hours. So this is, for us as an advertisers, this is good for us. As parents, with a different perspective, This is very scary. But we are here to discuss it as an advertiser. We are using their time in order to reach them with the relevant content as much as we can, definitely with a sense of responsibility, in order not to motivate the excessive consumption in certain categories, carbonated drinks and so on, and fast food and so on. But definitely, it's a great opportunity for media companies and advertising companies in order to reach them with lower cost, because he's giving you 90% of his time of the day. So you can reach him at a fraction of a cost compared to someone is sitting on his mobile like you or me, an hour a day. So you have one chance to target him during this hour, which is like 10, 20 advertisers. They want to steal some of the seconds of your time. This would be expensive compared to Gen Z. He's giving us 9 hours of his time. It will be relevant. It would be much lower in terms of relevancy compared to older generation. I hope I answered your question. Okay.
I think, Amar is right. This is a perspective from the advertisers and the media company and the creative company. From the parent perspective, definitely, I mean, as you rightly mentioned that, we are providing them this, the environment, right? So, though we always want our kids to have, best out of it, right? Best out of their life, right? But we need to somehow create a balance between technology and their the physical activities as well. So I always emphasize within my social circle that there has to be, because you can't stop them, right, using 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours this. But you need to engage them with some physical activities as well, whereby you put them for horse riding, or put them for the tennis classes or maybe music classes, where they will detach from the device, right? So that's how, I mean, it's totally up to us. And we control their life and our life, right? So the way we provide them an environment, they will react, accordingly. So I 100% agree with you that we are providing them this, technology life. And we are not surprised. I mean, all the marketeers, all the media companies, they are quite aware. And that is why they are trying to capitalize and monetize, Gen Z more than anyone else. And on the other hand, because we strongly believe that, the Gen Z is the future decision makers, right? So we are building the brand equity from their childhood, so that by the time they will reach to the level where they will decide for the high involvement product, luxury products, always our brand would be, on their top of mind. So that is how advertisers are thinking and media companies are thinking. And as a parent, we have to create a balance between, the real life and real life. We have to create a balance.
Great. Yeah, great insight. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think we're good, right? Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for the input. Greatly appreciate it. And yes, thank you.
Thank you, Caesar.
Thank you.